Thanks for joining us in the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, coming to you from our studios as always. And man, it's a privilege to be joined by assistant head coach, special teams coach, Darrin Simmons. My definition of Darrin Simmons, just an all coach. And I mean that in every positive way that it could be defined. I mean, Darrin Simmons, he's detail oriented. He gets the best out of his players. He wants the best for his players. He communicates well with his players. He builds relationships with his players. His players respond to him. He's been doing it for the Cincinnati Bengals at the highest level for over 2 decades. Special teams are a big, big part of the game at any level of football. And the Bengals this past season, 3 of the 4 areas of special teams finished in the top 10, courtesy Darrin Simmons and his players. 8 rookies, a bunch of them contributed to Darrin Simmons' special teams. He had rookies playing very, very pivotal spots for him in his special teams. One thing you never have to worry about when you go to a Bengals game: will the special teams be prepared and ready to go? Darrin Simmons is as good as it gets. What a great decision you made to join us today in the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, coming to you from our outstanding studios, because we have a very, very special guest, and that would be special teams coach, assistant head coach, Darrin Simmons. Been with the Bengals over 2 decades, had another phenomenal year with the Cincinnati Bengals with respect to his special teams units. Coach, appreciate your time very much.
Well, as you know, it's always a pleasure of mine to be here, and I always enjoy talking football and just talking our team with you. You give our fans such great insight to, what the inner workings of our team are and how things really are and how things really work. So we appreciate you being able to communicate to all of our fans that way.
Very much appreciate those kind words. No question about it. You are respected around the National Football League. There is no question about it. You are the best special teams coach in the National Football League, and your team performed that way in phases this year as well. As always, 10th in the National Football League in punt returns, over 10 yards per. 6th covering punts, limiting the opponent to 7 yards per return. 2nd covering kickoffs in the National Football League, and then 16th returning. But 3 of the 4 units, top 10. Satisfied with what took place this year, Coach?
Yeah, I think overall, for the most part, I was pretty satisfied with the way we did. I think the kickoff and kickoff return numbers get jaded a little bit just because of the way the rules are this year. We only had, I think, 12 opportunities on kickoff return the whole year, which is like an all-time low. We just want more opportunities, to affect the game. And when teams choose not to kick it to you and they choose to hit touchbacks, it just makes it more difficult. I do think the weather was a factor in that too. We really didn't play in any poor weather games, like super windy or super cold games like we've done in the past when we've had more opportunities. I just think that it was better weather. The kicks were traveling further. The kickers are good in this league, and we just didn't give many opportunities. I think that'll change going forward. I really believe that nobody's happy with the where the game stands right now in some special teams areas, specifically the kickoff and kickoff return game. I don't think anybody's happy with the way it's going right now, and I certainly think there'll be a lot of changes this offseason.
Jones, as a returner, finishes 8th in the National Football League, 10.8 yards per punt return. Of course, the 81-yard return for a touchdown, 4th longest return this year in the National Football League. What is it about him as a return guy that impresses you, Coach?
Well, it's kind of the same thing that he did in college. I think he's very decisive. He does a really good job of managing the play. He's sure-handed. I think he did a good job of ball handling, especially for a young guy. And we had a lot of young players at critical spots. I think that was one of the things this year I was probably the most proud of is We had rookie gunners the whole damn season. We ended the year with a rookie kickoff returner. We have a rookie punter. We have a rookie punt returner. We have a second-year snapper. We have a third-year kicker. So, excuse me. I think we're very, very youthful, and that's kind of what is probably the thing that keeps you excited the most. Is there's a lot of talent, and a lot of speed, and a lot of youth that needs to continue to be developed. And Charlie's no different. Charlie got after getting off to a hot start there to start the season, he hurts his thumb. Has surgery on his thumb, misses 6 weeks, and then he comes right back and still did a good job. We didn't bust off any long ones, like he had. I think certainly that the opponents knew that too. They tried to hang the ball up a little better or get the ball out wider to kind of help limit his opportunities to get big returns. But again, I thought he got what was blocked and was effective really for the whole year.
Brown is so explosive. I mean, man, he's got some acceleration. This dude can get 0 to 60 in a heartbeat, can he?
Yeah, he really can, and that's kind of what we wanted to see at the end of the year. Again, he went through a spurt there. He was really going to be the kickoff returner for our San Francisco game, and then he got hurt that week of practice. But we had kind of made the decision as a coaching staff that we're going to put him back there for that game, and then he ends up hurting his hamstring that week. And so that kind of set him back. We had to put him on IR for 4 weeks, and then we took a couple more weeks to make sure he was back and healthy and was comfortable with playing before we, decided to interject him, because all it takes is one time for him to rip one, and next thing you know, because he's not thinking about that when he's running, he's going at full speed, and we just didn't want him to get injured again, something like a long kickoff return play. So, and we had him back there the last 4 weeks or so, and we just didn't get an opportunity, until the last game, and so it was good to see him get a chance to get his hands on the ball and for the last game, and we didn't bust any big ones out. Certainly in that game, we didn't block it great, but again, he is certainly a guy that has a high ceiling. That anytime he has his hands on the ball, he has the opportunity to make something exciting happen.
I really liked his block on Charlie's 81-yard return touchdown. I mean, he drove his guy off the football field. Yeah. I mean, the guy, he exits him right off the field, man. He just finished that bad boy. In your role, you deal with every player on the football team. 8 rookies were drafted, 8 made it, 8 contributed. A lot of them contributed on your special teams. Was this about as good a group as you've had in a while in terms of what they did? And you mentioned the speed. Gosh, man, these guys can run.
Yeah, I think the first thing is the youth. That's the first thing that pops out to me is just the youth. I think we had, especially a couple critical spots on the punt team. You have a gunner. They were really rookies that were manning those spots the whole season. And I still consider Tyson Anderson really a rookie. I know he's in his second year, but he didn't play at all as a rookie. He was on IR the whole year, so this is really his rookie season of playing. And we start the year with Andre Yosevich, who's never done any of this stuff at Princeton,
right?
And Tyson, who has never played gunner. I mean, Tyson was an interior protection guy the whole year, but the way the roster shook out the last week of the year, we had to move him out to gunner. And so I thought that Colt did a good job of really getting those 2 guys up to speed, in addition to DJ Ivey. Even Chase Brown played gunner at the end of the year. We had a ton of rookie players that played on that spot specifically early on. So youth is a big one for us. But I was happy overall for the most part with our execution and the way these guys stepped up and played. Again, we tried to take advantage of what the rules dictated to us. Like I said, I don't think it's in a great place with the league and how our rules are, again, specific on kickoff and kickoff return. I hope we can get that changed and rectified and make that more of an exciting play again. It's boring for the fans. It's boring for me, frankly, as a coach too, to have to, because it's out of my control a lot of times what the opponent's they're going to kick it to you. They're not going to kick it to you. What's the weather going to be? How much time and effort I put into game plan, a kickoff or a kickoff return play. I don't know what the weather's exactly going to be. I don't know what the intent of the other coach is. So I got to prepare like we're bringing all these balls and we're going to return every one of them until we don't. And so hopefully that can get fixed so there's not as much wasted time and we just make it more of an exciting play.
You mentioned Tyson Anderson. Unfortunately, he gets hurt. I mean, he was a tackling machine. He ended up still leading, I think, special teams and tackles. Was he playing at a Pro Bowl level? Was he that?
Yeah.
doing that.
Yes, he was. He was playing at an impact level. I mean, at the time he was injured, he was tied for the league lead in special teams tackles at the time he was injured, and which is just phenomenal for really essentially you're talking about a rookie player. And so the arrow is certainly pointing up for him. Hopefully he can come back from this knee injury, which I believe he will, with the certainly a huge amount of resolve and get himself back to where he was or as close as where he was pre-injury. He's a hell of a good kid. He wants to do well. Obviously he made some plays in the preseason on defense to earn his way onto our team. He had a couple picks, I think, early on there, maybe in the Green Bay game, and he earned his way, onto our team. And that's, for a lot of these young guys, that's what it's about. It's about opportunity, but when you get those opportunities, you got to make good, you got to execute, you got to show, to prove to, not only to the coaches, but to the rest of the team that you can be somebody that can be counted on. And he certainly did that. In addition, we had several other guys. DJ Ivey, I think, it took him a while when he finally got the opportunity to play. He came on, and unfortunately for him, he got injured too, just like Tyson did. When it really stunk because he was really starting to come on. He was starting to get things figured out. And so hopefully those two guys can get back and get healthy and pick up where they left off.
Let's talk about your rookie punter, Robbins. I know probably there was some frustration there in the early stages. I mean, to get off to a slow start, but as you're looking at numbers, look back on some of those. I mean, he ended up 20 inside the 20, 5 touchbacks plus 15. That's respectable, and his gross was just over 44. His net was over 40, and he definitely his graph was going up as the season went along, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they started down at the bottom, certainly at the beginning. Nowhere to go but up. I think everybody felt that frustration. Unfortunately for him, in the opener, we get blindsided by Cleveland and their defense, and like he sets the rookie record. I think we punted 11 times.
Yeah.
In a windy, rainy game. So if you're looking to try to ease a rookie into his career, I mean that was not easing into him. He got punched right in the face and from the get-go. And Brad's a hardworking guy that it means a lot to him. Was the execution always what it needed to be? No, it certainly wasn't. And was the consistency there? No, it certainly wasn't. It was frustrating for him. It was frustrating for me. Certainly frustrating for a lot in some instances. But I do think that he grew immensely just in terms of what it takes, what it requires to be an NFL punter, and how different that is from what it is in college. The college rules are so much different that your exposure to good returns is not the same because, the difference in college football is everybody can release on the snap. The whole punt team can release as soon as the ball is snapped. And so you hang it up in college, I mean, you're going to force a fair catch 75% of the time or more. Not that way in our league. In our league, only the gunners or the end men can release on the snap. Everybody else has got to wait till the ball's punted. So like an offensive pass play, an interior protection guy on the punt team could be called for being illegally downfield on a punt play. They can't leave until the ball's punted. So that's the NFL's way of trying to create more returns. And so Brad is a guy that the reason we drafted him is because he can still hang it up really well. He had good control directionally, both right and left. That's what he showed at Michigan. It was a bit inconsistent this year for sure. He knows he's got to work terribly hard on consistency and I fully believe that he'll improve. I think his average was 44.3 on the year. If you look, I think at Kevin Huber's average as a rookie was at 42.9 his rookie season, and that seems like light years ago that happened.
Right.
But so maybe if it's an indication that kind of where Kevin started, where Brad started, hopefully we can keep developing them, and Brad will have a good long productive career.
There's the old axiom that year 1 to year 2 is when players make their biggest gains, because year 1 you kind of don't know what you don't know yet, but you go through it and then you have an off season to reflect on it and improve and all that. And I know it was for me. I mean, my first year to second year, I mean, the light went on in a lot of different ways, and do you think in your experience with punters, kickers, and special teams players, does it apply to them as well?
Oh, for sure. And I think especially for somebody like Brad, who, he was on a team in college in Michigan. Was fortunate enough to play in the playoff, and so he's playing up into January. So then his season really doesn't end at the end of January. He then is getting prepared for any All-Star games that he plays in. Postseason All-Star games. Then he's in preparation for the combine. Then after the combine, he's doing pro days and individual workouts. And then as soon as that, here comes the draft and hits in April. And then he's into OTAs. And then so the first break he really got was the end of June. And he gets really the end of June, but he's still training. It's not like he's not punting. And then here comes the whole NFL season. So he really hasn't had an off season just to sit back and let his body and his mind and everything recover since 2 years ago, really. So hopefully he needs to just take a step back, get his body refreshed, get his mind refreshed, hit reset, and then be ready to go when we get things called back up this spring. So I think certainly for a rookie punter, his gas tank was running on empty, a long time ago. And so hopefully we can he can get back to get a full tank of gas and hit recharge and be ready to go.
So Money Mac was money. I mean, he did not miss under 50 yards, and he was 7 for 12 from 50 and beyond. And some of those were, long distance. No question about it. This guy is special, isn't he?
He is special. He is especially when you think about all the kind of things that he's been through. Also, he's been through, 2 snappers. He's been through 3 holders in the past 2 years, and for him to maintain a level of consistency in his production, I think is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And we certainly know he had the 5 walk-off game winners as a rookie. We had none in 2022, and then we came back and hit a couple more this year, which is that's big. I think I've always felt that anytime that you can have somebody that you can count on in the clutch and not even blink, not even the full level of confidence that when he gets an opportunity, he's going to make it. That's a very, very reassuring thing as a coach. I think as for the rest of his teammates too, that everybody's got a great deal of confidence in him, and that's not shaken. It's only been solidified. He was 26 of 31, as you stated. His 5 misses are over 50. We don't put him in any easy situations. We put him in a lot of tough spots, and I think he relishes that. I think he wants that. But we ask him to attempt a lot of tough kicks and long kicks, and he, like I said, he relishes that, and he comes through. I wish he would have been a little better with the over 50s. He was really good at that as a rookie.
Yeah.
We asked him to do a lot of he attempted a lot of those plus 50 yarders early in the game. Early in games, which is difficult. A lot of times he's like anything. You'd like to see him get into the flow of the game a little bit, get a kick or two in him, before we run him out there for a 55-yarder. But that's not the nature of the position. He's got to be ready to go at a moment's notice, and for the most part he was. So I'm very excited that we have him. I feel very fortunate we have him, and hopefully can still continue to be productive. If
it's ambient conditions, there's no wind. Beautiful day. There's no factor that would affect his distances or trajectory or whatever. What's his range? I mean, what is the limit of this guy's range on a good day like that?
Well, I think if you're kicking in a dome, and that's probably the most the most liberal place, or the most where there's no effect on any other external factors.
Right.
He can hit from certainly over 60. He can hit from 63, 64, pretty regularly, I think.
Amazing.
If we can do things to change his approach a little bit, I think Justin Tucker had one of those when he broke the NFL record. He did not use a normal approach on that kick. It was a elongated approach so we can get more momentum into the ball. We do the same thing with Evan, and Evan can hit from well over, in the upper 60s. We do that, but I think in a normal course of it, it's over. It'll be 62, 63, 64, somewhere around in there. I think he could hit with just normal, not have to change his, change his technique.
So obviously, you are vitally important to what the Cincinnati Bengals do from a preparation standpoint for the draft. I mean, the value of your contribution in this guy can play special teams. This guy I'm not quite sure about. I mean, you've got your ranking position by position, and you've put your bat on the ball. I mean, you're batting 1,000, man. I mean, you brought some guys in here, in draft classes that have been phenomenal from a special team standpoint. When does that process start for you? I know you're in the stages, and unfortunately a little earlier than the last couple of seasons in terms of the debriefing of everything that needs to be debriefed. When do you start that process of evaluating guys to add to the team?
Well, I think that'll come up here pretty quick. We still have to wait in a lot of cases for the season to be over, so we can know exactly, who all the free agents are. We have a pretty good idea who those guys are going to be now, but I mean, it'll start faster than normal. I'd like to get out ahead. I think it's been difficult the last couple of years because we have went so deep into the playoffs. I thought we've got off to a very late start with that, and so it becomes a cram session for us to try to, not only rank and identify existing free agent NFL players. It also makes it difficult to get ready for, just more difficult to get ready for the college draft. And again, I would much rather be in that situation, which tells us we've had success in our season,
sure,
than the situation we're in now. But again, it'll just give us it'll start pretty immediately here. I'm going to take some time off here, try to get away. I need to hit refresh, reset in my own mind too. We've been at this since, the end of July, all in for a long time.
Right.
So
Right.
I need to get my own self battery recharge. It takes its toll. I need to reintroduce myself to my family again, my wife and kids, and make sure they haven't forgot about me. But that process will start, pretty quick here. We'll get a jump on things and try to get as much info and input as we can to, get the right guys in here.
Yeah, it's always it's always heck of a process. There's no question about it. I mean, where you're gonna head south? Gonna go get some fun in the sun somewhere, maybe?
I don't know. We haven't gotten that far yet. My wife wanted to talk about it last night, and I'm like, just give me a day here. I just want a day I just need a day down to relax. And my mom had been in town, so Monday night we kind of spent with her, and because she was leaving yesterday morning, and so we were watching the national championship game, busy talking to her, and so it really wasn't a night off.
Right.
We were still pretty engaged with that. So I told her, just give me one night. We'll talk about it today. I've got a son who he's involved in winter lacrosse. So I think we have a tournament to go to this weekend. So I'm not off this weekend. We're right back into family mode again, which is great. I love that part of it. I love watching my kids compete and do their thing too. So we'll get something figured out here.
So, Coach, let's get you out of here on this. 17 games, and I know bottom line it's like, okay, average drive start. We want to win field position. We got an advantage on an average drive start basis for this football game. 12 possessions, if it's a 10-yard differential, that's over a football field, 120 hidden yards, whatever. From that standpoint, from a hidden yard standpoint, and just an overall, when you evaluate how you did on a game-by-game basis, how many of the 17 games do you feel like we actually won that football game from a special team standpoint?
That's a difficult thing to say, now. Again, just because I go back to the way the rules are.
Yeah.
This kickoff return deal. We've made this into a punt return game, and in a long field goal game. So we've kind of eliminated a little bit. So it's very difficult to answer because I just don't feel like we, it's more difficult to directly affect the outcome of the game the way it is now. We have, and also with the advent of, with as much attention as we pay to analytics, we go for it more on fourth down. We, like I said, we're attempting longer field goals. But it's interesting if we have, we range probably anywhere from 22 to 33 or 34 plays, and frankly, if you let's say there's 4 or 5 touchbacks for each, or 6 touchbacks, whatever, on each team. I mean, you're talking about 12 plays out of it's over a third of the plays that kind of in the end don't matter. I mean, so that becomes very difficult. It's a very difficult question for me to answer this year. Like I said, I'm hopeful I can have a better answer for you maybe a year from now. But there's a couple things. There's a couple games I think we had a direct impact in the outcome of the game. Whether it's like the San Francisco game, for instance. Travion has an explosive kickoff return to start the game.
Yep.
We have a 50-yard kickoff return, which really uplifts our team. We knew San Francisco was a very good team. They'd won a bunch of games in a row at home, and then to punch them in the mouth on the very first play of the game, I think knocked them back, and we never really looked back after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to think that there's just little splash plays like that have a direct effect on like that. But it's been more difficult to really put your hand on, or a finger or thumb on how many games that really was, just because I think the way the rules are, the way our league is affected the rules, it's made it more difficult.
Well, Coach, you had another phenomenal year. The Bengals are very, very fortunate to be able to have you as a member of their coaching staff. And I love to talk to the young special teams players throughout the season and ask them about you. And, man, it is so universal, Coach. Your players love you, man. They respect the heck out of you. They're like, Coach is so detail oriented, man, and we really appreciate it. We respect. He gets the best out of us, and I mean, it's that's trust and respect, the two big things, man, between players and coaches, and you've got it all from your players. There's no doubt about it. They think the world of you.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot. That's the reason you do this. And that's the reason I do as a coach is, I think my job is to develop the back half of the roster, develop the players who are not starters offensively or defensively. And right. Some of these guys, and it's becoming more and more, as we go here, come into our league and come to our team less and less prepared to be what it is. Andre Yoshevas. And it's not a fault of anybody where he came from. It's just a fact. I mean, he didn't play much. He really didn't do that type of stuff. Right. Different from maybe somebody like Jordan Battle. I mean, Jordan Battle did it a lot. He played a lot of special teams in his career at Alabama. So they come in at different levels, and trying to get, all these guys married up and all thinking the same way is a task in its own, and getting them to believe and understand how important it is, and how you can affect the game, I think is, even though they may not be playing offensive or defensive, yes, you can still affect the game, and here's how you have to do it. And these guys, that's all they want to do. They want to play. They want to be an integral part. They want to be a productive part of the team. And we got a hell of a group of guys, the scouts, the coaches. We've all done a good job of identifying the types of players that we want on our team. And I think that's really evolved here over time. And we've got a great group of guys. And I'm excited to get back to work with them when that time comes.
Coach, successful coaches, in my mind, have two traits: their ability to communicate and the ability to build relationships with people, be people persons as such. And you've got both of those in spades, man. And to me, that's what a head coach has to be in the National Football League. And there's some openings out there. And I've always said, Darrin Simmons, man, would be a hell of an NFL head coach. But I'm glad you're a special teams / assistant head coach with the Cincinnati Bengals, Coach, because there's nobody better, and we appreciate your time. Well,
I'm happy to be here. I'm very fond of my situation here, and very fond of it, and I always enjoy talking with you. And this is a good organization to be a part of. It's a good core group, and we just got to have some things fall our way, and we'll be back to where we need to be, or where we want to be next year.
I agree, man. This team's got the makings of being elite. There's no doubt.
Yep, I agree.
Have a great one.
Okay, well, thanks.
Appreciate your time as always.
Appreciate you, bud.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.